It's hard to build an audience on YouTube. The most common way people have garnered one is by pumping out uninteresting and bland videos with bright clickbaity thumbnails to lure in children for views. But some people work for the audience, and sadly just have to work with the one they're given. Do they continue doing what they're doing and risk losing their newfound popularity? Or do they pander? Most choose the latter, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, he ran, hiding like he's Anne. Yeah, he ran, hiding like he's Anne. Yeah, he ran, hiding like he's Anne. Yeah, he ran, hiding like he's Anne.
This video will be split into a few different segments. The pros and problems of pandering, the fun, failure and falling off, I like alliteration if you can't tell by now, and finally, why would we want to watch either happen with a well-intentioned creator? Whoa. Pandering, I have quite a few issues with it. I quite like for you to be their true selves in their videos and online in general. I like being able to know whether someone shares similar values with me so I know whether or not I can watch their content without wanting to throw up in my mouth. And so, obviously, I don't take well to those who pander to audiences instead of being themselves, but I can still see why they do it. They either A, want money, or, slightly more acceptably, B, they just want to please their audience instead of drama. An example of A would be channels mostly targeted at children, like how NNA Productions continues to make 3am videos despite wanting to be a boxer for some reason now. I guess he's moved on from spinning fidget spinners to spin jaws.
And Slim keeps on putting the pressure on.
An example of B would be people like Dream, Tommy Unit, and basically any YouTuber lacking in proper sense of personality. Sorry Tommy. I sympathise with people who've genuinely tried to break out of the situation they're in. People such as Tommy Unit have tried to be a bit more loose with their humour, but have only dug themselves into a deeper hole. I also mentioned Dream, who, before attracting a very strict, I guess you could say, audience, was quite open with his beliefs on things such as the R slur, while Dream, very based. If someone continues to pander their audience they've garnered, it will only get harder to get away from it, which may not be a problem for some, but for those with a less, I don't know, morally defined audience. Unless they are actively trying to break away from their audience, they are well and truly fucked. It's so obvious when a creator is having to play a character on camera for their audience. They're shells of themselves, they are puppets to the audience and they have no way of escaping unless they risk it all. And to put it bluntly, that fucking sucks. On the other hand, there are people who pander for money. I'll cut to the chase and say I have very little respect for these people. Tell them to chase the bag all you want, but if someone's doing YouTube for money they're, in my eyes at least, doing it completely wrong. You're stuck with whatever audience you get most of the time, as I said, but you shouldn't take advantage of that audience for money. People like Jake Paul and more recently a few FaZe Clan members have been known to promote scans to their mostly very young audience with no remorse at all. Even if they were in very desperate need of money, I wouldn't respect them for doing it. There's other far more respectable ways of making money, especially in the YouTube field, that, don't involve exploiting your audience for money. Lighter examples would be YouTube promoting giveaways to their child audiences, giving them an incentive to subscribe or do something to benefit the YouTuber in hopes that they may end up winning something like a fucking £5 gift card. What I'm getting at here is that if you aren't going to bother trying to escape an audience you dislike, at least don't exploit them. Sometimes it's better to have a smaller audience. Not having so many eyes on you relieves a lot of stress, I'm sure, which is why I advise most people who dislike the current audience to try something new. You'll either end up with a whole new, possibly bigger audience, or end up with a smaller but far more loyal audience. If you need YouTube to be a job but identify with the second case, start a Patreon or something. I know I just said I'm against exploiting audiences, but I mean, if they're loyal, they're sure to want to at least try and help you out financially. Falling off of the YouTube scene can be fun. Though I've never had that big of an audience myself, my slowly lower and lower view counts have only given me more motivation to work on content. Sometimes a bit of time away from it all helps out a lot. If you're stressed about your audience, get away. Then come back and try something new. Like I mentioned earlier, you may just find a whole new, even bigger audience in the meantime. Having grown up around the internet, I've had friends that have gone on to have successful YouTube channels. Most have left me behind and never spoke to me again, but who am I to blame them? Just seeing someone be happy and successful encourages me to try it myself, and I'm sure a lot of you feel similar about this. If you're happy with your audience, I'm happy for you. Keep at it and you're on set to have a bright and successful YouTube career. If you dislike your audience, you can either continue to pander or you can follow my advice. I've repeated it multiple times by now, you should have been listening.